Concept vehicles are how the automotive world experiments, learns, and evolves. And it's not just limited to cars. You'll find the same kind of thinking in industries like private marine design, too. These concepts aren't about what is. They're about imagining what could be. They're creative playgrounds for new technologies, fresh ideas, and bold designs that challenge the status quo. Think of them as design labs on wheels. Most concepts never make it beyond a sketch or digital render. A few go further, maybe a full-scale prototype, and an even smaller handful actually reach production. Those are the ones that turn heads and change the game. But don't sleep on the ones that never hit the road. They still matter. Many of them are packed with forward-thinking features or ideas that later show up in production models. And even if they don't, their impact can be felt just by daring to challenge what's possible. Today's blast from the past takes us back to a time when Ford dared to imagine what the recreational vehicle of the future might look like. What they came up with was something bold, unconventional, and way ahead of its time, the 1961 Ford Unitron. And even the name sounded like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie. The Unitron was Ford's retro-futuristic take on the ultimate all-in-one vehicle. It wasn't just designed to be an RV, it was meant to be the RV. A multifunctional platform that could transform into just about anything. A camper, a mobile office, a pickup truck, a delivery van, or even just a cool people mover. Chances are you've probably never heard of it, and there's a reason for that. The Unitron never made it past the early development phase. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just a drawing. Ford actually built something physical. It was more than a concept on paper. It had real-world form, even if it never made it to production. The idea for a futuristic RV like this actually started taking shape back in 1959. It began when a Ford executive pitched the concept to George Walker, who was the vice president of styling at the time. Seeing potential in the booming recreational vehicle market, Walker passed the idea along to the corporate advanced studio. That's where design chief Elwood Engel stepped in. He handed the project off to studio manager Gail Halderman, who then brought on a young designer named Dean Beck, fresh out of Art Center just a year into his career. The three of them collaborated on what would eventually become the Unitron. Most of what we know about the project today comes from Beck's original sketches. And keep in mind, this was the height of the space age. So naturally, Beck's vision for the Unitron followed the design language of the time: sleek, futuristic, and boldly unconventional, just like how people back then imagined the cars of tomorrow. Now, while the Unitron might have shared a few design cues with other vehicles of the era, whether production cars or concept studies, it was a big step away from anything Ford had done before. In fact, the only real giveaway that it was a Ford came from the signature round taillights the company had first rolled out about a decade earlier. One of the boldest design choices was placing the engine in the rear. That freed up the front for a wide wraparound windshield made almost entirely of glass, giving the driver and passengers an expansive, futuristic view. It also allowed the cabin to be pushed further forward, creating more usable space without bulking up the body. Beck's approach to this concept was clean, modern, and purpose-driven. The whole idea was to offer not just a new RV, but a flexible platform with multiple uses. We don't have any surviving documents describing the original design brief, but based on Beck's vision, it's clear he was thinking outside the box. The Unitron was longer, wider, and significantly lower than anything Ford had attempted before. The Unitron stood just 56 inches tall. That's right, less than 5 feet. In the only surviving photo of designer Dean Beck standing next to it, he looks like a giant towering over the vehicle. The idea behind keeping it so low was likely to make it more practical, something you could use as a daily driver and still fit inside a standard garage. But in reality, that ultra-low height turned out to be one of the major reasons the project never made it to production. Sure, you can stretch the dimensions in length and width to gain space, but without enough headroom, you're just not going to end up with a comfortable RV experience. Still, the Unitron wasn't abandoned right away. The team pushed forward, focusing on a dual-purpose concept: part RV, part mobile office. By late 1960, they had built a full-size clay model, and by August of 1961, they revealed a fiberglass studio glider. Unfortunately, that's where the story ends. The project was shelved not long after. The team never got the chance to install a drivetrain, and the interior never progressed beyond the design phase. In the end, Ford leadership decided a vehicle like the Unitron just wasn't going to make it to the assembly line. A little while after the Unitron project was shelved, Dean Beck moved on to Ford's Mercury pre-production studio. There, he left his mark on two major milestones in American automotive design: the 1967 Mercury Cougar and the 1986 Ford Taurus. So while the Unitron never got the chance to make its mark on the road, Beck still carved out a lasting place for himself in automotive history, just through different vehicles.